Calvin Castine at George Brendler Field. Very shortly we'll have Joey Trombley in the booth. We got Sam Lajway, who foolishly volunteered to officiate this game. This is the annual, I'm not sure it's an annual, if it's an almost annual, it's not every year. Chazy Alumni, looks like Bob West is out there too. I'm going to try to listen in and maybe we can hear who they're going to announce. Rob McAuliffe on the microphone. Chazy Men's Alumni.
Thank everyone for coming. Before I start to introduce all the alumni that are here today, I just want to do a few thank yous to the Athletic Association.
It's kind of raining out, otherwise we'd be out on the field to get this portion, but it's too wet. But we're going to listen real close, and Joey Trombley and I will try to listen and relay the names as they're being announced.
Tonight the reception is not going to be at the Weathercock time we open tonight. So our reception is going to be at the VFW on Route 11 at the Twin Bridges. So right after this game, I hope to see everyone at the reception. So for our alumni, so if you try to see the way that we introduce you, and you'll do the 2000s first. Class of 2007, Matt Osher. Class of 2000,
Jason Guerin.
Class of 2008,
Nolan Ryan.
Class of 2004,
Jeff Krywanzik.
Class of 2008,
Steve LeBombard.
Class of 2003,
Tyler Spiegel.
Class of 2011,
Matt Gravel.
Class of 2011,
Jeff Botten.
Class of 2011,
Ricky Osher.
Class of 2002,
Ian Broussard.
Class of 2005,
Zach Perro.
Class of 2004,
Nathan Russell.
Class of,
Chris Valigi. Caleb Snide.
Class of 2009,
Tyler Boris.
Class of 2011,
Mike Santor.
Class of 2008,
Steve Lombard.
Class of 2008,
Jacob Beeman.
Class of 2011,
John Tregan.
Class of 2011,
Andrew Dupree.
2008,
Galen Trombley.
Class of 2011,
Andrew Rabideau.
Class of 2008,
Jason Baker.
Class of 2008,
Ben Baker.
Class of 2010,
Dylan Duffanoff.
Class of 2010,
Andrew Lapierre.
Class of 2004,
Joel Lauren.
Class of 2007,
Casey Trombley.
Class of 2007,
Evan Green.
Class of 2010,
Shea Halley.
Class of 2008,
Kyle LaFountain.
Class of 2010,
Mark Osher.
Class of 2005, and Class of 2001, John Frederick.
Eric Ashline. And so a lot of 2000s are here.
Always out. Gone today.
Class of 1995,
Scott Bayshard, 95.
Class of 1992, Ken Lester.
Lester.
Class of 1990, D. Joseph Colon.
Coulombe, Joe Coulombe.
Class of 96, I think, Eric Munson.
Eric Munson.
1999,
Pat
Pat McCullough.
McCullough.
Class of 1998, Eric Bowman.
Eric Bowman.
The years,
Danny Hostler.
And
TJ Weeding.
1997,
Tim Mulligan.
Class of 1998,
Terry Lapierre.
Class of 1993, Red Card Tim Martin.
Tim Martin, red card Tim Martin.
Class of 1990, Tim Redemption Collins.
Tim who?
Redemption.
Tim Collins.
Oh, Collins, Redemption Collins. Jason LaBarge. That was the 90s. We get progressively less every decade we go back. Todd Hosser, 89. Zane Adams. Matt Bayshard. Blair Villamere. Curtis Latchmore. Joe the Fish Poisson. Terry Dorn.
Class of 1978,
Pat Ryan.
And class of 1976, Tim Ryan.
Tim Ryan. Not many in the 70s.
No. I'm waiting for any 60s.
1960s, but I do have 1950s and a big round of applause for the class of 1956, Mr. Bob West.
Bob West, 1956, gets the biggest round of ovations here.
I also want to have these people raise their hand if they could. Obviously, the boys and I are also very, most of them over there are very proud of the state championships we've won over the last 7 years. So for the state championship of the team of 2004, raise your hand.
And we got some people here from the first state championship team.
And the state championship team of 2005, raise your hand.
2005, some repeats.
The state championship team of 2007, raise your hand.
2007 state champions.
The state championship team of 2009, raise your hand.
There's 2009.
And I know many of them are inside the building right now getting warm, but also the state championship team of 2010.
And 2010. So 5 state championships and quite a few players on those state championships. That well.
So we are just going to have offers in here to graduation. Again, we're not going to split too much by age. We're just going to have 2 teams and see how it goes. But I also want to thank our referee, way over there, Mr. John Sachs, who's in the way.
Alumni John Sachs.
Also to help today is Sam Ladway as well too.
Sammy Lashley's in the booth with us.
He's going to call it from up here.
Yeah, Sam's going to call it up here.
He'll be up here with the whistle.
Before we go, one last thing. I do think that since I can talk all the time, but I think one person needs to at least say hello. Because the field's named after you, you're allowed to say hello. So, Mr. George Brendler.
And the legend, living legend, George Brendler, ready to give a few words here.
Oh no, a few words.
Well, we'll see.
George is a man of many words.
This game reminds me of almost 40 years ago. Not too many members of my team from that era. During we had our first tournament over there, and we won the tournament, but it was on the money day. And the boys said, "Contract in the tournament was that they played." We said, "Boy, we love to play in the ring." Of course, we won. Well, that was the night that we got to live in the back.
How long they play?
2 hours.
I'll grab the first one.
And I'd like to also say that my son Joe, who was in Afghanistan, said hi to Bob, and he wants a shirt. Now he's 49 years old, so you know what that speaks about. He said he loves to be here. So, have fun, slide a lot.
Slide a lot.
And
From all of us, I'm not going to name names because there's quite a few of us, but I do think it might be good for all of us. I know it's not just us ending on a sad note, but I do think it's important. A lot of alumni are not here today because they cannot have passed away. If we could, if you could all take a few seconds here to give me a moment of silence for all the Chazy South alumni who could not be with us today. Thank you. Let's go play.
so George Brendler, the living legend, said, "Have fun and and slide a lot. And current coach Rob McAuliffe ended it with a moment of silence for the alumni who are no longer with us, who have moved on to the next phase of their life with our dear Lord up in heaven. So a nice gesture by Coach McAuliffe. And Calvin, I'll talk about God in heaven because I don't care about church and state, and I think it was a nice touch by Coach McAuliffe.
Yes, it was. I started the day taping Bishop LaValle in West Chazy today at a family forum there that Father McGinnis is putting on. But anyway, getting back to this, I thought it would have been a great idea if it wasn't so wet to have these guys come out of the cornfield as they're introduced.
Yeah, that would have been the Field of Dreams. Anybody that knows that movie, the legends coming out. But the problem is they wouldn't have wanted to cross that white line, so we would never had a game going on. So they are showing 40 minutes, Calvin, and I'm assuming that's a half. My guess is they can't go 40 minutes.
No, they can't go 40 minutes.
We got alumni John Sachs, Sammy Lajway very graciously, as Joe said.
From Altona.
And I think we embarrassed the fish. He's out there.
I don't know why.
He told us
He wasn't
adamantly
playing.
he wasn't playing.
He wasn't playing. The fish was not going to play. But he saw all these alumni, and he just decided he had to be a part of it. Red Card Martin is very color coordinated out there.
Red Card Martin, yeah, he's looking good. And you got Jeff Kroy-Wanzik, the state record of shutouts for in the state for shutouts for goalie. Jeff Kroy-Wanzik, very fit. He trains for triathlons and stuff after graduation. Most guys pick up a gut. He's in perfect shape. And
I don't know who's the other goalie.
so I'm not sure who's even, who's odd here. So, Coach McAuliffe, what green is even or odd?
I don't even know.
We're trying to figure this out. So green is odd, and the gray team is even. And Sam Lajway's busting on the fish. He goes, remember all those comments up in the booth? It's payback time.
I think Mother Nature has paid back Joe Pusson enough.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't need anything from
So we'll see if
Sam
Joe
Lajway.
can remember to do what he preaches up here to these kids.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see if that happens.
So you got people coming up in the booth here.
Oh, yeah. We have Coach McAuliffe coming up. We have Coach George Brendler coming up.
That's the George Brendler.
It is the George Brendler. Coach, welcome.
Hello. Kind of wet. It is me. It is I.
And we have Coach Rob McAuliffe here, the current coach. Rob, nice touch at the end there with the moment of silence.
Oh, yes. Well, as we said, there's many who wish they could be here today because of maybe they stayed home because of the weather, but there's a lot of great alumni who've passed away, and we didn't want to forget them today either.
Absolutely not. And like I told Calvin, I don't care state, church, or whatever. I think it was a great touch. And we aren't politically correct up here, so. So are you going to play today at all?
I don't know. We'll see. It's it's a cold day, but a long day for me. So we'll see. A lot of times I have so many other things going on, but by the time I feel like I can go play, there's not much time left. So we'll see.
Well, before we have some fun with this one, I thought the boys put on a heck of a show today against Ogdensburg.
Yeah, I was pleased the way we played. We possessed the ball well. We had a little bit of trouble finishing in the first half, but we kind of felt that as the game progressed, we were going to keep generating chances, and sooner or later we were going to finish one. So
Red card
we did.
just ripped one. But as the game was going on, the one guy that we felt was definitely the all-star. We gave two out, actually one to Brandon Lawrence for the finishes that he had, but Nolan Rogers.
Yeah,
He had a great. He was all over the place, and he finally got rewarded at the end with that long shot.
Yeah, Nolan's
You're rooting for him.
Yeah, he's been playing very well for us lately, and he had to play in the center of the field, center midfield for a good portion of the season here when Josh Berry was out hurt. So. Today I was happy for him. He's played well and has not gotten a goal all year, so it was nice to see him get one.
And the other thing that we picked up on, which I thought was a great move on your part, was bringing up Derek Drake. Of course, we've already given him his nickname up here. It's Double D or D squared, so he'll be hearing that a lot. And it was quite obvious that you showed a lot of confidence into him, putting him back at that sweeper position at the end of the game. Here's a freshman moving up from JV. He's going to the sweeper position against Ogdensburg. Granted, the game was in hand. That's a lot of confidence in the young man.
Yeah, Drake is a good player now, but he's going to be a great player in the future. And, he's someone that we have very high hopes for this year, but certainly for the next few years. He's, technically he's a very good player, and he's a very bright, smart player. So, we have a lot of confidence in the kid.
And what Joe brought up during the game, this will be fun to see Joe get picked on out here because of the comments he makes up here, so of course not when he's out there playing. But he did bring up a very good point. Drake almost has the same mentality of Nathan Reynolds back there.
Yeah, he's very composed. It's rare that you see a kid who's a player who's in ninth grade being so composed. And so he's a lot like Nathan, and that's. When you have a player who's a lot like Nathan Reynolds, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. And I was telling Joe, too, I said, yeah, granted, since your last loss, or the first loss since 2004, you played a couple weaker teams. This was a quality team, and it was a good showing after that loss to Willsboro.
Yeah, you never go into a game wanting to lose, but I think on that day, we look at it now, and I think it was a good thing for us. We seem to be more focused now, and I think at the end of the day, we hope that later on in the year we'll look back at that loss and say it was a good thing for us. And
look back what happened in 2004 when you lost to E-Town in that regular season game. Basically, you made a challenge to the boys, and they responded with your first state championship.
Yeah, it's difficult every year to try to go out and go through the whole season undefeated, and so. Willsboro's a very good team. We played poorly, and we got what we deserve on that day. And so we just hope that we can replicate what we did in 04 and, get a loss in the regular season and turn around and get a state championship.
Well, I heard Sherman had a great game for Willsboro down there, and he's a senior, good player. But there's no doubt everybody has the calendar circled for October 13th for the rematch here. Unfortunately, I won't be here that night. I got to go to Mariah for Mara's game, but I know everybody's looking forward to October 13th.
Yeah, the 13th will be a big day, but to be honest with you, for us, next Thursday we have to go to E-Town, and if we lose there, the 13th won't matter. You know what I mean? So we know that we have to win in E-Town, which is never easy, and so we have some very big games that we have to play well.
And who was that just like that?
Is that Matt Bayshard? I'm not sure. Is it?
Matt Bayshard goes down.
Is it? I don't know.
And Joe and I were talking too. We think that the format of the Division 1, 2, and 3 has really been going fairly well.
It has, yeah.
Parity.
There is, you know what I mean, and so we're going to keep looking, each year, and the league is going to be for this year and next, and at the end of next year we'll take a look at it and say, whether we want to continue with it or not. So.
Well, what I think is cool when I look at the newspaper, it's nice to see Division 3 for Scroon Lake or Crown Point get a headline, because they didn't normally ever get that. So it's nice, and they're being competitive within their group, which is perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big pros to it. The concern, and there are some people with concerns, and one of the things that we've done with that is reduce the amount of buses that have to go out, and the way we made the schedule for all school districts, and so. We're hoping that will help with some cost-saving measures for schools, and and when we also see that, like you said, there is some parity to it, and that helps. In the last few years in the CVAC and in the MVAC, we've had a lot of lopsided scores, and those things are still going to occur on occasion. Like I said, we're still going to have a first-place team and a last-place team, and so you're still going to get teams getting beat and badly, but we think it'll be less of that with the new format.
Just one of the complaints that I've heard with the new format is that the JV team doesn't travel with the varsity team, and some people are put off by that. And I don't know if there's a solution to it. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
It's funny. I saw a fall just like that earlier in the women's game, but it was Christine Lauren. I wonder if he knows her.
Yeah, I think there's a family connection there.
Yeah.
And I had to laugh when Josh Barrier wiped out here in front of the Ogdensburg net. My God, that was funny.
I think he was trying to do it.
Well, he got dirty, all right. So I don't know if there's a solution to that, the issue that I've heard about that.
Yeah, I think if everyone's looking for something to be perfect, that wasn't going to be the case, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that is a cost-saving measure is having the JV boys and girls travel together. And so, there's going to be some negative to it, but we're trying to look at all the pros and cons and see what is the best thing to do for the following year.
Well, I think, Division I is the ones that mainly have the JVs, and they should do what they've always been doing. If Division II, you have JVs, I don't know who else does. NAC does, but some teams don't have JVs, and they don't have JVs. But Division I, it's worked for them. I know up at Northeastern, the JVs used to be there. They used to watch the team and get excited and look forward to their days in the varsity, and that's not there anymore. The same thing at PHS. I know I've heard some disappointment there.
Yeah, and like I said, that is a negative, and that's how it's going to be for the next 2 years, and but those same districts aren't complaining about the money that they're saving by having less buses go out.
Well, the JVs travel with the varsity, and now some modified traveling with the varsity.
But in the old system, the modified girls and modified boys traveled separately.
Now the JVs are traveling separately.
No, they're not. The JV boys and JV girls travel together.
Well, the modified could do that.
But they haven't, and this way they have, and so this is where we have saved money from the old way, and so, it's how it is. That's right.
It is right now.
That's right, and no one ever said it was going to be perfect. No one said there wasn't going to be negatives to it. The question is whether it's something we want to continue on to do.
Right, and it'll be you're evaluating it in 2 years.
Yeah.
So or every year, I'm sure, but in 2 years it'll be evaluated.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's got to be cool too to see. Of course, you got 5 state championships to your belt. To see members of those teams out here again.
Yeah, it's always, and I know Coach Brendler's going to say the same thing. One of the things that's nice to see is all these players together from different, generations, but also I always like about how well they play the game, even though some of them have been away from it for quite a while, and it's always nice to see that.
Well, I know your good buddy there, Joe Coolum. I got to bring this up, and you probably saw this on Facebook. Galen was cracking up. He goes, "Dad, you got to hear this." And Coach Brendler, Coach Brendler, you got to hear this one here. Joe Coolum on Facebook puts down Mickey fries, $2, alumni T-shirt, $15. Coach Brendler's face when he sees me, he goes, "What the hell happened to you? Priceless." And that's Joe Coolum, right?
That's Joe. That's Joe.
He had some other term, but I think that's probably a good way to put it. When I just saw him a little while ago, he said something different, but.
Oh, there's Joe Coolum right there.
Yeah, and give him credit for being out there.
Hey, Joe, Coach Brendler's up here. He's focused on the game.
I think it's a little more meaningful to me because Joe and Tim Collins were just moved off. My last years, and I make a note of that, I'm talking about in my 50s, we played indoor soccer. Those guys, Judy Bayshot and I, against those two, always, and then 2 other kids, so it was 3-on-3, and then floor hockey also.
Right.
But one difference is Joe was about 3 times as wide now. Timmy is twice as wide.
Years go on, and some people adjust differently.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and this was, it's too bad, like we're talking too about, you put all this effort into this day, planning, and it doesn't just happen, and then we have a day like today, which I'm sure has eased up on some of the people coming out.
Yeah, that's disappointing, and we're hoping for good weather. It just didn't happen, but it is nice that as bad as the weather is, I think we have close to 40 alumni playing right now.
Yeah.
So that says a lot for those guys who would want to come out here on a day like this to play. That's shows their loyalty.
Well, I think it's a real treat to Coach Brendler and Coach McAuliffe to have you two guys up here. You guys are the legends of Chazy here with the alumni having us all together at one time, and I know this is going to be a treat for everybody. It's happening, live right here, but as the years go on, this is definitely going to be a treasure. This film right here will be a treasure.
Well, it definitely is nice to see the kids in action.
Oh, what a play! Who got that goal? Ricky Osher.
Nice hustle there. Yeah.
And the odd team leads 1-0.
Yep. No, one of the things I noticed right off, while Rob was introducing the players, that success begets success, and I think the returning players, especially you look at those championship teams, I mean, that's something beautiful to see. You know, you're talking about 5 championship teams, and you got a large number of kids coming back because they remember this is a good time. Many of the kids from our school, probably unlike a lot of other programs, when they go off to college, from what I've heard, it's never the same for them. They've had it here, and they look towards the good old days they had with their friends here. I heard one of the local guys express the term, we were connected at the hip on the field. You know, there was a closeness. That's a good way to put it. And you miss that when you go away. And as I said in the introduction, that Joe should want to be here. You know, here he is, you know, six time zones away or whatever, and he thought about, but you know how he got this? What's different now with this particular year compared to 6 years ago or 10 years ago? Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
He heard, you know, he heard through Facebook, and who was doing Facebook? Casey Barcombe, I think, created the site.
A big alumni fan.
Yes. So there are other people, you know, the guys from the teams that got involved in various ways, like Joe Colon is a great example, a great ambassador of the game, you know, in a different way. It's like Victor LaPointe used to be for my days.
Well, there is no doubt out there, and I know this just by broadcasting for Calvin and for Wiry, there's a Chazy Nation out there.
Yeah.
I mean, in a smaller term, there's Red Sox Nation, but there's Chazy Nation out there.
We can't pass up, what's
Poisson.
Okay, Joe Poisson over there. Calvin.
And
See,
look at him,
right
he's
there.
sprinting. There's Joe
there's
sprinting
Joe
there.
sprinting. He's going at full speed right now.
Yeah. That was about the same speed in high school, wasn't it, Coach?
No.
I got a bust on him because he gives us up here pretty good, too.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The speed of his mouth hasn't changed from high school to this. He can compete with me any day.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach, we did the Ogdensburg game, and so I said, Joe, you want to do the final 10 minutes? Do the play-by-play. So he grabbed the mic and looked at Calvin and said, I'm done. I'm not going to get a word in edgewise. And he had that mic held so tight he had white knuckles. And I'd look at him like, I want to say something.
Count the number on the field for the great team right now.
Ryan Norcross wants Coach McCullough to count the great team. What, 13, 14?
10, 12.
13? The great team's got 13
People always
players.
wondering how we won state championship. There it is right there.
They got 13.
Been doing that for years now. But,
They got 13 players.
you know,
out
Joe,
there.
you're talking about, you know, the Chazy Nation thing, and you know, and I know soccer and sports are big in a lot of schools, things like that. But you know, that it is very important to so many Chazy people. And you know, I remember, you know, Calvin remembers the Kuhlman boys, Chris Kuhlman and Kevin Kuhlman, and of course their dad John, who taught here.
Right.
And I'm very close to the Kuhlman boys, and they both work in Washington D.C. And Christopher, the oldest one, works in politics there. And here's John Frederick.
Oh, yeah, he's going to finish. He hasn't missed a beat.
No, he hasn't. It's just like 1999 right there.
Is that Blair in there?
No, that's Jacob Beeman.
Oh, that.
And they said, I talked to the Kuhlman boys, and they were saying how in the last state championships, Wiry thing has been so great because they can be listening to the games, and how excited they were to listen to the games on their computers. And Kevin was telling a story how we were playing the state championship, and his wife had all these, like, you know, kind of honey-do list things, you know what I mean? All these things to do for him on that Sunday, and he kept on putting them off, and then he went into his room, his bedroom, and kind of shut the door, and she kept on yelling, you know, what are you doing up there? What are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing, and you know, it was going on all day, and she finally went up, and he was on his computer, and he's like, oh, I'm just doing work, whatever. And then finally, and this is last year's game, we won in overtime, all of a sudden, after all this time of him staying in his room with his laptop, all of a sudden she hears from upstairs this scream, and him running out of his room and screaming, we won, and she goes, what are you doing? What's going on? And she of course found out that he's been spending all day listening to our state championship game on Wiry, you know, and it's just nice to hear those stories. And you hear of, you know, Chris Kuhlman, who his brother Chris, who on an average day meets with senators and congressmen, and was in Joe Lieberman's office on September 11th. I mean, he does all these amazing things, and met the president many times.
So you had the senators come over, listen to the game.
Yeah, and he said, and Chris tells me every morning when he wakes up, he goes and checks the internet and sees how we did that the day before. He goes on Press Republican, and he said, it's the first thing I go to see how you guys did.
And that's the power of the internet.
Yeah.
Well, for radio, TV, he can watch the game with Calvin, because actually Joe Southwick taped that game.
Yeah.
We didn't have commentary, but it was taped, and nobody said anything to him. They were all over us when we walked up there. Where's our press badges and stuff like that? But so yeah, it really brings Chazy Nation close together.
Yeah.
And but it is amazing. Well, look at the guys here today on a crappy day.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things about this, just extending on the Chazy Nation idea, that back, you had Bob here, Bob West, who represents really a good example from the early days, the first successes of Chazy, 10 years before my time.
The early days.
Yeah, it is the early days.
Yeah.
And he's here at most of our games,
Oh, and he
and
travels
his wife,
statewide.
he comes, and he's at the state playoffs. But what I was getting to is that when I came along, I think we took one step. It took some winning and have some success. As the kids began to believe in our program, or not, I don't necessarily me, but believe in what we're doing. 1967, we won the first championship, and then we started looking away. I played, in fact, my first season even, we played teams from Vermont.
Yeah, BFA in Swan. I was reading your autobiography there.
And so that was new. That was something nobody had ever done, like playing out of the section. And then we played Chattagay, who was really in the other section. They are. They're section 10.
Sure, yeah.
So we started expanding Chazy out of our area. And then, of course, we had the tournaments in 70s. And so slowly, the name got out there, and people got to know us, and these Canadians used to call us the Chazy Army, coming to play these Canadians. And now, of course, after these many years, with Rob's successes, people know the name Chazy.
Oh, we're known in the state. There's no doubt about that.
And and I think the kids know it, and they have a great pride in that, and so does the community, and that's why they're still here. Otherwise, if we didn't have the successes, slowly, believe me, it would.
But what happened is you built a culture here.
Well, that's what it is. Yes. Yeah.
It's a culture of, soccer. Chazy's known for saucer. We'll throw in a basketball championship here or there, and we had our first baseball championship in God knows what 20-something years, but. Everybody knows every fall. Ogdensburg, a B school, coming to Chazy. I got to believe for these kids, and this is a compliment to you, Coach, for these kids to come to the George Brendler Field has got to be a treat for them to come play on this field. The other teams I'm talking about.
Yeah. Everyone's always excited about coming to play here. Maybe not today. No, they weren't excited, but it's a great place to play. And the other thing that. We put a lot of time into in the spring and the summer taking care of the field and all the stuff we need to do. But the one guy who very often doesn't get much credit for it, and I get a lot of credit for being the coach, and when we have some success, and of course Mr. Brendler for everything he's done, and Mr. Tregan before and after him. But Brian Norcross does so much for our field and our facility here that very often he's forgotten, and the amount of time that he spends taking care of it.
I heard a scout over here from Yankee Stadium. They were looking for a person to come mow their field.
Unfortunately, it's being used.
We know used to Boston right now.
Boston is done for.
And I'm a Red Sox fan, Rob.
Yeah, painful.
Painful time.
Painful,
but what happened to the Red Sox would be like what happens to us if we lose, like we lost to Hamilton that year.
Yeah.
That's that same feeling in your gut was the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Let's face it. Over the years now, because you got Chazy E-Town rivalry, but Hamilton Chazy at the state level, that has been developed. There's no doubt about it.
Someone was saying to me the other day, isn't it great that you actually have a state rivalry? That you're there that often, that you end up having a rivalry with someone. But it is difficult. One of the things that we said is now is a a great thing, but almost a curse in the same way. Is that, the expectation now is that anything less than a state championship is disappointing, and
it's a wrong expectation.
yeah, it's difficult. You know what I mean? And we are always going to work to win one, but it's a tough bar to always try to achieve, and it's always difficult when we know that people are getting hotel reservations in
we would never do that.
August.
No, we would never do that. The thing is, with those state championships, how do I put this? You're right. People come to expect it. It's not easy to do, but yet there's major disappointment when we don't do it. And you've done it so often that it's like we're definitely, maybe we don't win a state championship, but we're definitely going to go down to the state. I mean, we're going to go to the Final Four. I mean, I think that's a given. We're going to the Final Four. Shouldn't it be? But I think that's the mentality right now.
Yeah, it's the monster we've created here. You know what I mean? So there's no one to blame. If you want to put blame on it, it's then ourselves if we're doing so well. But like I've always said, Mr. Brendler laid down the groundwork for this. This thing was going to happen. You know what I mean? And when I took over from Mr. Trigan took us very close in his last year to get there, and then and of course Mr. Brendler's teams had been there before to the Final Four, and and we felt that especially in the early 2000s that we were knocking on the door and it was going to happen, and and that 04 team was just a very special group for everyone.
Being the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but prior to that, I mean, you have to remember back in that time frame, back in the 90s, the Buffalo Bills lost 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
And I remember at the state level, they're calling us the Buffalo Bills of soccer.
Yeah.
We could get down to the Final Four, but we couldn't punch the ticket.
Yeah, and rightly so. We kind of
Buffalo Bills are doing okay right now.
Well, there's a resurgence right now.
right. We kind of deserve that comparison. For
You were talking about Hamilton, and one of the things that having a computer and kind of spending my time on it is I will go and surf the net and look up these towns that we've played and actually go on their main street and look at the houses. You know what I mean? Google it. So Hamilton, beautiful place. We are still a very small hamlet, really, compared to most of the schools that we are playing in the state.
Actually, Hamilton was in jeopardy of being consolidated with a local school, and as you know, Hamilton in the town of Hamilton is Colgate University.
Right, yeah.
And actually, this is the Hamilton coach told me the story that there was a possibility of consolidation with a neighboring school, and they didn't know what to do. They were all concerned about it, and it looked like it was going to happen. And Colgate University came in and said, "How much do you need to prevent that from happening?" And so they gave them a nice chunk of money for the next 10 years or something like that.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow, what a story.
And the main reason why they said was that the Colgate University's faculty send most of their children to Hamilton High School, and it was nice and convenient that they like the school, and they like how it's small, and they like how their children can go to school right down the road from where they teach, and so Colgate came in with a check and said,
Wow.
We'll keep giving you this until, as long as you stay, as long as you don't consolidate, but as soon as you consolidate, you lose that check.
Right.
So,
Wow. What a great story.
Well, that's why I'm saying that here it's a special town. It's a college town, and a lot of professionals, and the fact that we compete and beat them at the state level. It speaks a lot for what Rob has done, and I guess we got to emphasize. Rob has mentioned my name a number of times here, but I tell you, it could have gone otherwise too if someone else had come along that didn't have the dedication and interest that you have to continue the program. These guys will all tell the same thing. You've been a special gift to the program in Chazy, and thank God you're here. Yes.
Well, I will say this to both of you. We will be at a family function. I'll be with my in-laws, and of course you get all the kids there, and the in-laws, like myself being an in-law, and our grandkids are there. And I'll look at my father-in-law and say to my mother-in-law, "See what you two created?" So, Coach, see what you created out here?
Well, yeah. Where else would you see a guy running around with a gray beard and no hair?
Who is that? Is that Santa Claus or Kenny Rogers down there?
Well, I think that's Tim Ryan.
Is that Tim Ryan? Tim Ryan, when he heard about this game, he goes, "I got to get the dust off the treadmill."
There's a lot of people who said the same thing to me, that they have spent the last 2 months getting in shape for this moment, and so great save.
The keeper's doing good job.
But yeah, and so a lot of people, told me that they were running and getting in shape for today. They may have been exaggerating how often they were
Tim
running.
Ryan obviously very well, and there's still dust on that treadmill, so that didn't happen. And we do have the Fish Poisson up. He's come up. He put his 3 minutes of fame on the field.
How old he is, though.
How old are you, Joe?
50.
Joe turned 50.
Well,
also.
dog years, I'm about 92.
Okay, let's go back a second to the last one. We had Trey Green from my 72 team was quite, happy to be here
Yes.
to play because he was 50 years old, and he did fine. And so, Joe, you're matching that. Unfortunately for Trey, we have to mention, you talked about the ones that have passed away, but Trey wouldn't be able to come out here. He's had cancer, and I think he's recovering, but it's taken a lot out of him.
Yeah.
But nice to have a 50-year-old out here. Now, I'm 77.
Not the youngest. I'm not the
Oh, is
oldest.
there another?
Tim Ryan.
Tim Ryan.
Oh, Tim is the older.
Tim's 4 years older.
Tim's
than me.
54.
Oh,
Oh, that's a 76.
Pat and his brother Pat
It's
is
52.
52.
Could be 52.
Yes. So.
well, all right, there's another thing that soccer did for me, personally. I told you that. At 55, my last day of school, I was playing indoor soccer,
Oh yeah.
and running around, and I held my own. I mean, I wasn't
More
like,
than held your own.
so that's good. The physical fitness part of it, and this is the kind of thing that you can continue for a long time. I mean, maybe not at this level.
Tim Ryan.
There we go. And there, Calvin. Joe wants to get into the play-by-play. Up here, I'm talking to a couple legends up here, and Joe. But no, we go through this all the time. I'm hanging on to this because if I give this to Joe, it'll be white knuckle time, and you guys won't get a word in edgewise.
Well, Joe, we've had our say.
No, you guys have been doing great. Joe, it was great seeing you down there. Actually, it was kind of neat seeing you down there.
You called me the fish, and it felt like a fish in that water, and I landed into my fast butt. It was fun
I
going
am
out there.
surprised at how permeated it. I mean, it is. I thought it looks great from the distance, but it is quite soggy.
The drainage was never right, was it?
Drainage has never done very well, you know what I mean? But and the amount of rain we've had, not made just last week, but in this fall has not helped it either.
No, we had a wet fall last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Last year with it. So but the field does recover if we get some sunshine and stuff.
Yeah.
It does seem to recover.
Yeah, actually, it got lighter, but while we were talking,
Yeah, but it's still coming down pretty good here. It's a northwest rain coming at us. So I know, Rob, when the last two championship teams, you had made a comment that if they're going to take us out, meaning our section, those were the 2 years to do it, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. We those are some special teams, and especially the 09 team that won it. That not many people predicted that. It was very possible we wouldn't get out of our section. I mean, then we got out of our section and just kept on winning. And for us to fall down fall behind 1-0 to Hamilton, and then come back and win that was an amazing day. And so we've had. There's all these teams I've had over the years have had special moments. Another one?
Winding up. Let's do one more.
Another one? There we go.
Tim Martin from the glory days.
By the way, I'm watching Rob shivering away here in his shorts, and he didn't learn that from me, to wear shorts out there for coaching. It's a nice example, but I learned the hard way. In the first many years, I'd come out of the gym with my sneakers and go out there and soaked sneakers, wet sneakers, and suffer the cold. And finally, I started wearing heavy boots. Learned the lesson not to.
Unfortunately, I'm a superstitious guy, and so unfortunately, there's some things that I
You're getting
can't.
older, though. That superstition's got to be going away.
Maybe, but maybe. Seeing Tim Martin score, one thing that a lot of people don't know about is is Tim Martin and I actually played high school together. I was a senior and he was a freshman, and then we went and both played at Oneonta State together. And then when I was a senior at Oneonta State and Tim was a freshman at Oneonta, and so it was nice. And it was always funny. Like they all my guys I played with for the years always said, we always had such high respect for Chazy and what sounds like what your school was like and the soccer program. And then Tim Martin came and that whole image just went away after that. And so for 3 years I built up the image of Chazy School and the program, the community. Everyone thought it was this, utopia up here, and then Tim Martin came and that
Just shot it down.
Shot it.
Even at the collegiate level.
Yes.
He didn't bring Bouchard with him, though, did he? Remember?
Brad Bouchard, yeah. Yeah, there was no recovering after that. It was shot.
And you knew Tim was not going to miss this game.
Oh God, no. Tim, I'm so excited to see Tim. Tim's now a vice principal at Monroe Woodbury High School, one of the largest and most affluent school districts in the state.
In Long Island?
No, it's actually not too far from Middletown. Actually,
Oh, okay.
So in that area.
I thought Middletown did a great job with their facility.
Yeah.
I mean, on a selfish standpoint, we had a press box.
Yes.
So, but I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, they did. They won the bid to host it until 2014. They just barely beat out Long Island for the hosting of it. Yeah. Long Island.
He still has it.
Who's that?
Great
Who was that?
Nolan Ryan.
Oh, that was Ryan going through?
Yeah, we've seen that before.
Yeah,
haven't we?
okay,
I think once or twice.
No? Yeah, no. Yeah. I thought it was Timmy for a second, but...
I'm going back to what you guys were talking about, the JVs traveling with the varsity and so on. And I remember this way back in basketball one time that we went through this. And it kind of aggravated me because I said somehow it seemed like it was the spectators or the parents pushing what we would do as a program, what was best for the school and what was best for the coaching. There's no big reason why they have to be together. Is there? I mean, maybe they are playing a separate game and they're not watching your game anyway.
Well, what's
when they're
changed,
there.
though, is that with the lights now, they aren't playing at the same time. So you got a late game and an early game. Yeah. So the argument is they can play the early game, then they can watch the late game.
Yeah.
Well, if they aren't traveling, they don't get that luxury. So, but you're right. Back in when you're going through, there's two separate games going on.
Right.
No, exactly.
But I mean, they're two different programs in a large school anyway.
Yeah.
Terrible call.
It's a terrible call.
I tried to pay Sammy off to give him $10 to give me a red card to get me out of there, but he wouldn't take it. He wouldn't settle for anything less than 20, and I didn't have anything that way.
So I know you brought in a rookie JV coach. How's he doing for you?
Galen, he's doing great, and the JV team's doing well, and Galen does a great job. And as I've always said about Galen, it's his knowledge of the game, and it's his rapport with the kids. But more importantly, it's what a role model he is for all the kids. And Ricky Osher might get his second goal today. No.
He took one on the chin the other day against Northeastern.
Yeah, was it 2-4? Yeah.
And of course you have who's one of them's hurt for the JVs.
Rabidou.
Rabidou's hurt. They just brought up Drake.
Yeah, losing Rabidou.
But Galen had a good attitude. He told the kids, he goes, "Hey, listen." He goes, "We're here to train for the varsity. Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for." And the kids accepted that.
Yeah, if we weren't doing it, then everyone who was in 10th grade down would be playing JV. You know what I mean? And we obviously have a lot of some 10th graders and 9th graders on the varsity team, and many of them start actually. So,
Right.
But Northeastern always has a good program and good JV team, and so it's not surprising.
So, I see a couple of guys out there that, like Kane and Lester, and Jason LaBarge, for example, were they your players? Were they on? Because
no.
Now, who'd you say, Cayman Lester?
Kane, Lester. Did they play?
They didn't play for me. They played for Tom.
For Tom. Okay, there we go. There's the blank.
Yeah.
Because I remember them as students, but I don't remember them as players for me. And Jason had an older brother that played for me. John LaBarge.
Yeah.
In fact, in your
And it's kind of, as we've been kibitzing back and forth here while this game isn't going on, It's pretty good soccer.
It is. It is. And that's the one thing that I noticed that the first time we did it back in 2000 when we organized the first one.
That wasn't the last one.
No, that wasn't the last one. We did one in 2000. We did another one in 2005. But the one in 2000 was that was the same thing I noticed. I couldn't believe how good the play was, and
And a good day, too, if you recall.
two really good days. Yeah.
But this is your fourth one? You did 2000?
Third one.
Third one. Okay, I thought they said fourth in the paper.
We actually were going to, they did. I don't know where that came from, but we were actually going to do one last year.
In
2000 and 2005.
Yeah, we were going to do it last year, but there was so much construction going on, as you know, Joe, in the building that
Right.
it was it's not a good year to do it, so we've waited till now.
And of course, I heard the gym is looking really nice.
Oh, yeah, gym looks beautiful, yeah, so.
No door in there?
No door, yeah. Oh,
Brian Wanzer did 2 great saves.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, Krywanzik state record for shutouts.
Yeah, he's second now, but for a while there, goalie from Manuel's Pebble Hill near Syracuse. But yeah, Jeff is the second all-time leading goalie in shutouts
In the state.
in the state. Yeah,
State, yeah.
and he was first for a while. Yeah,
That was just got broke not too long ago then.
yeah, not too long ago. Yeah.
All right. And then last year, I'm just going to take us back to the Hamilton game. From what I heard from the head ones down there, of all levels, that your championship game was a classic and probably the best of them all.
Yeah, I'm the Section 7 boys coordinator, so I have to go to state meetings, state boys soccer meetings, all the time in Albany, and of course there's some guys who have been coordinators for longer than me and have been going to the Final Four for 20, 25 years, and many of them said it was the best game they've ever witnessed.
At any level.
At any level, yeah, for the intensity and for
Right.
the chances, and obviously you're going to get a game between Brentwood High School and Arlington, which is two AA schools that are two of the best teams in the nation,
Well, yeah,
on the
not
state.
we compete
But
with them.
but as in chances and excitement, they said it was possibly the best they've ever seen. Yeah, so
I mean, I'm not a big.
it was quite a game.
I'm not a big fan for co-champions. I'm not a big fan of that at all. Joe and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
But that is one game where you could have argued and said, well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have went that way.
Thank God it didn't
It
go
didn't go that way, but
Yeah.
I thought overall we were slightly better than them.
Especially as the game progressed, I thought
Yes.
we were slightly better. The first half they were better than us, but
Granick and Thompson still give you
yeah,
flowers.
Krynek is.
Are they gone?
Traken is right out here in the red sleeve shirts there, and he played. Traken
yeah,
played
John, yeah.
a heads-up game that game.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
that's right. He was
covered there.
MVP.
Yeah.
MVP.
He really.
Well, Krynek is playing at Hamilton College right now, and Thompson is a senior and is already verbally committed to Colgate, a Division I team.
So Thompson is still playing.
Thompson is a
senior.
senior.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so if we end up playing them, that's obviously he's one of the.
Are you following the other sections?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How are they doing over there?
I think they have one loss.
So is it Poland still a beast out that way too?
Yeah, Poland, and now there's Cincinnatus is a school that's out there that's doing very, very well, and but it's fun to look ahead and see who's out there. But at the
Right.
same point, for us, we're constantly on NAC
Well-
and E-Town next.
Well, yeah, I mean you can't look ahead. No, I
No,
mean,
but it's
obviously-
interesting. We always do. We always look and keep ahead and see who's out there. And
Well, even if she should have a bad game with E-Town, that doesn't mean it's the end of the season.
No, not at all. But I can guarantee you that Willsboro game was heard around the state.
oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You don't think Hamilton said, "Hey, these guys can be had"?
Yeah, but their coach, he knows well enough that.
By the way, you mentioned Cincinnatus. Now that rings a bell for me because when I got into being the chairman for the section, there was a gentleman that started working on sections. That we were actually planning the state championship, and he was from Cincinnatus. Apparently, they had a fairly good program. Vestal was beginning to get good, but Cincinnatus was strong.
Yeah.
In Section 4, I think it was.
3.
3. Okay, 3. Yep. And then we never heard about them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of those D schools I find go up and down as they have a senior class. If they have a strong senior class. We saw that with Northville, back in 09, and Northville had a lot of senior laden and good athletes.
Oh, look at Osher.
Yeah, Osher.
Imagine if he had been a soccer player.
I know. What a great athlete.
I mean,
You know, he
he's a great athlete.
came to us from Ticonderoga, and what an athlete he is.
Well, let's go back to you as the student or the player and me as the coach. Remember Northville?
Yeah.
We were playing New York Military Academy, and I was watching. I'd gone down to watch Northville, and
Yeah.
boy, I was scared of those guys. I said they're gonna kill us. Well, we never got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were a tough bunch back then,
Yeah,
and
they
they
were.
won. They won the state championship twice.
Yeah, there goes Nolan Ryan. Oh,
Did he score?
cut it over. But,
But we didn't see them for a long time, like you said. That they go up and down.
yeah, it's funny, we talk about, the state championships and like that, and I know, Coach, same thing for you, that, for us, we always talk about the state championship, and all that, but some of the greatest wins I've ever had as a coach weren't at the state championship game, you know what I mean? Where, some teams that we didn't expect to go far. I remember I had a team in 2002 that just wasn't that good, and we had that amazing penalty kick shootout with E-Town in 2002 where we came back to win it. And so sometimes, the 5 teams that won the state championship get a lot of credit, in which they should, for what they've accomplished. But, sometimes as a coach, like you do, you understand, is that sometimes there's some other teams out there that are very special to you that didn't win one, you know what I mean? And,
But they had the heart. They
Yeah,
beat everything
you know.
they had.
Well, I was looking at Googling Wrens. Do you remember that team? I suppose Wrens, wasn't it? We played them at Oneonta, and
that was before me, I think. Then.
no, your game when we had Corey Lewis. Maybe I got the wrong name. It's not Wrens. They were nearby, and anyway, we lost to them because we missed the penalty shot.
Edmonston.
Edmonton.
Yeah. That was 03, yeah.
Well, that team. I mean, you were headed for the States with that team. That was going to happen.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Like, that team in 03 was one of my best teams ever, and didn't win a state championship. And then I look at, the team in 09 that was clearly not one of my best teams and did win one. And so, there is some. I'm not saying the team won in 09 because of luck, but you do need some of that sometimes in the game, and you need some breaks. And some teams got them over the years, and some teams didn't.
Well, you talk about special games, and this had to be one of them. I don't want to put words in your mouth. E-Town, 43 seconds left, leading 1-0. It was a magical moment that night.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, yeah.
That was a magical moment.
Yeah, it was.
Shadows on the field, guys.
Last year's E-Town game was just really an amazing game.
He switched shirts. No, he didn't. They're picking on him. That was obviously a big game. But this field, how many years now? 7 years in existence?
Yeah, our first year was 05.
Okay, 05. Okay, so the 7th year. There have been some magical moments on this field.
Yeah.
And, I think back when Nolan Ryan broke the record. The electricity in the air that night was
it's amazing.
absolutely phenomenal that night. Last year's game, I'm sure I'm missing a game, but it reminds me, and again I'm going to take it to a bigger level, whether the things that happen at Yankee Stadium, the games that happen at Red Sox, at Fenway Park. It seems like things happen here at Chazy. I almost believe that teams come here and are already trailing 1-0, just because of the history and the aura of what the program is.
Well, we obviously had some, success here, and so, I think our kids feel comfortable playing here, and and it is, I think, intimidated to some of them. Some teams coming here, but
I don't think E-Town's intimidated.
No, and that's what I was going to say to you is that
It's just like going to E-Town, right? That field it's an advantage to them.
And that's what I was going to say. But some teams, I think, get very excited to play here, and I've often said that if we were playing, 150 yards that way, on the other old field, that we might have some advantage, because I think that there's some teams, like, you look at Elizabethtown and Willsboro, they get very, very excited to come here and play, and, and we did not. I remember when Coach, you know what I'm talking about, with the hill on the side of the old field. And I remember like the Willsboro coach Mike St. Louis one time came to me and said, this before he retired, and he said, you know, I'm looking so forward for your new field, because honestly I can't wait to play on a field that does not have a hill on the side of it. And I said, well, no, I don't know if you realize this, but the engineering firm that designed it has measured that hill, and they're going to replicate it on the new field. He's like, and the funny thing was, I told that story to a bunch of people, and then I kind of thought they knew I was joking, and then the people later on were like, I really can't believe you guys are going to do that. And I said, no, it's a joke.
Chazy's version of the Green Monster.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. The Green Monster. But I don't think you've lost a regular season game on this field, have you, the boys?
No.
Have the girls won? I think the Ethel won.
Yes, I think they did once.
So there's been one loss on this field.
In regular season.
Regular season.
Yeah.
PHS seems to own us here.
Question from the spectators, where I spend my time up there periodically. Do you get those balls out of the cornfield?
Oh, yeah.
The kids
Yeah.
worry about some kid
well,
stuck out there.
Yeah. No, we have gone out there, but the last time, this past fall or August, Chris Waterbury had his scrimmage here. You know, he had the red and white scrimmage, and so all these kids are coming here from, you know, Long Island and New York City and things like that. And Chris brings the kids out, all the kids out, and goes, guys, I don't know if you know this, but you see that cornfield over there? That's where they filmed Children of the Corn. And of course Jason Baker's on the team, and he just, you know, from Chazy, and shakes his head like this, but all the other kids believed it, and so they all started passing it on and telling each other that's where, and he'd say, yeah, you see that farm over there, that's where they shot a lot of the scenes, and so, but that's if you know Chris Waterbury, that's Chris.
The kids hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, they all believed it.
That's amazing. Just to give the even team has not. So I thought the even team scored a goal, but maybe not. So it's 4-0. The odd year team leading the even year team.
You know what?
We're in the second half.
We had some history going on here. We had 3 Ryans out there.
We do.
Yeah, we had Pat in that left fullback position, Papa Bear, Ryan, Tim in the middle with the hat, and Nolan up front.
Wow.
So all on the same team.
And you should mention the fact that father and son are playing out there.
Pat and Tim are brothers, and Nolan is Tim's son.
Well, I looked in your book there, George's boys, and Pat Ryan was an all-star back in '77.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Ryan, an all-star. Nolan Ryan, an all-star. I mean, there's some rich blood in that soccer family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's always funny too. My kids on my team this year were so excited to, and unfortunately, the deal was they were going to stay and watch at least half the game today, but they were so cold, and you know, I mean, it was really almost dangerous to keep them here. And so many of them are wanted to see, you know, like Mame said to me, I want to see who Tim Martin is. I want to see who
they've heard of him.
Yeah, because you know, we tell like much Coach did.
Good examples or bad? I don't know.
Coach used to always go back to 67 and 69 when I was a kid. It's true.
Yeah, and I do the same thing.
John Moss, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Coach would always, you know, after practice, Coach always had a little time for 5 minutes, and he'd always talk. You know, and you remember those
right.
Those monologues.
This player did this.
Yes, and it was good. And sometimes during the course of a practice, if you saw I remember we were getting out of sync. You know, you could tell at the beginning of the practice how it's going to go. And sometimes then you'd sit us down and listen, you guys have to play better. You have to concentrate. Right during a practice, sit us right down and have a speech. Then we'd go back out at it. You know, just things like that. You remember those things, and it was good. You know, all the old names, and it was just fun to listen to.
I think as a coach, it's natural to do that.
Yeah,
sure. You know?
Well, if you do it long enough, you're going to have those stories. And you know, we have Rob and Coach Brendler. They definitely have a few decades.
And that's Coach Rob too, please.
You probably heard all the Joe Pussant stories when you were in school.
Oh yeah. Well, when Joe Pussant was out here.
Well, it was usually followed by, or you know, here's what you don't do.
We still have. Are you sure you're not an understudy of Chris Waterbury?
we still have the same problem here in the broadcast booth with them. Joe, this is what you don't do.
Because I remember the years. I learned a lot from Joe Poisson. years.
Yeah, right.
You know, just not the way you think I learned, you know.
Do the opposite.
Fish, you get it all the time.
That's
And it
right.
should be this way.
And we nailed you while you're down there too, buddy.
Oh, which time?
well, the 5 minutes you're out there
That was
today.
beautiful, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought you did
It
well.
was your sprint to the net that really.
Yeah, when Rapidu blew by me, I thought you yelling, I'm slow down, I'm just kind of jogging, like I'm going to catch him, not on my best day.
Joe, you were out there, that's the thing. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
You were out there and you were running around.
Zane Adams let me use a pair of turf shoes, which aren't conducive to this playing
No,
conditions.
not today.
You need your mud cleats, and I will get on Timmy Ryan's case. He was supposed to bring me a pair of cleats, and he decided not to. Why? I don't know. But,
Paybacks.
oh yeah, but it was fun getting out there in the slot for 5 minutes.
Is Curtis out there, Curtis Latimer?
Yeah, he's here. He's here.
Oh yeah, Curtis is here.
Is
Yep.
he playing?
Yes,
Oh,
Curtis
yeah,
is out there.
he's suited up.
We haven't commented
Oh, he's
on
right
it.
there. There he is, right there.
There he is. He's got Kinnon's hat
Oh,
on.
right here, yeah, okay.
Curtis has his daughter's hat on. Kinnon Latchmore's hat.
Looks like the even years are having a tough time right now. I haven't seen the ball go down the other end much.
No.
See, that's the odd. What are the odds?
The odds are green.
That's what I'm saying. The
Yeah,
evens are having a tough time.
Yeah, the evens are gray.
Yeah.
And this would make it,
Actually,
if the score holds, the odds would have won 2 alumni games and 2-1. So
Here goes Martin again.
Oh,
Save.
and clear it out.
You know, it's interesting that Tim has made comments about Timmy Martin, because I remember when he first showed up, I moved him up from 8th grade, I moved him up to the varsity, and he was always a very, very respectful, yes, Mr. Brendler, so on, and I never remember him being a problem with me. So I don't know what developed there. Maybe,
Well, we had the
oh,
Tim.
there he comes right there on cue.
Oh, there he is.
Right.
He's still finishing. Division I, Tim Martin.
Yeah.
20 years later.
That's right.
That was good.
But we had, for winter weekend, we had the Tim Martin rule. And I remember I had to sit down and talk to him, say, Tim, you can't be breaking these street hockey sticks, you know.
Well, Tim also is, in my senior year, this is a true story. He actually led the nation in Division I in yellow cards. Led the nation.
The nation.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I remember being in after a game and being in the locker room. I think we were at Marist College, and our coach screaming and saying, "Tim, you lead the nation in yellow cards. You really need to go get another one."
And how many, was there a number attached to that?
I can't remember.
Did he play 4 years?
Yes. Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And you played the 4 years, right?
I played. Yeah, but I was a senior when he got there.
Right,
so,
but you did play 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I called down there to Matt Bayshard, he's from the 80 team, Joe's class there, and Matt back then. Now what's that? That's 30 some odd years ago. He'd be walking around on the like this on the field all the time, and he had some affliction. I don't even know the name of it. His fingers turned yellow. Back that many years ago, and he's still out here. Looks like he was doing the same thing. Just reminded me of.
Oh, gee. All right, Joel takes out McCullough.
A little more weight behind Pat now, so he can hold his own.
Now, what year was Pat?
Pat graduated in '98.
98.
Yeah.
And then Joel was 2000 something, right?
Actually, Pat graduated in '99. Joel was an '04 graduate, I believe.
Okay. So the 5-year difference there.
Yeah. Isn't it funny, Coach? I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I can tell you the score of our E-Town game in '97. You know what I mean? And I used to be amazed at you, Coach, when we'd be in practice and you'd say, I remember in 1976 in this game, and I'm like, how does he remember that? And never understood it, and then.
You know yourself.
Yeah, now you
Well, you live it, but let me tell you, it does happen. I came up here and I said, I'm not prepared. We spent so much time 5 years ago on the book, Larry Gooley and I had pretty good memory of all the games anyway, but in the 5 years, I've been distracted, away from it, less involved.
Yeah.
And they're slipping away from me.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember this thing about, when was that when we played that muddy game, that first tournament? And it turned out it was 72. But so they eventually, don't worry, you'll forget.
Time does that, Coach.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't seem like you're forgetting, though, Coach.
No.
It doesn't
Well, I
seem like
mean,
it.
well, Rob, how many years have you been coach now?
This is my 16th.
Oh, this could be dangerous. Ryan, this is it. This is your 16th year.
Yeah.
Now, Tim Ryan was trying to give me your stats the other day, like 300 and something victories.
309 at the start of this season.
So what do you got now?
I don't know. I don't even know what our record is this year.
6 wins so far?
7 wins, I think, maybe.
So you're
Yeah.
316 and like 20 something. And
Yeah.
it was like a 9.38 percentage or 938 percentage.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's if you're handed every year a teams like I've been given
But you know
over
how
these
you-
years, it's not that difficult.
How many years ago was it that Tommy Brandel, who was also a former coach,
Yeah.
Tommy Brandel and you,
Well, that was
Greg
his first
Drew,
year.
and myself,
Yeah.
we got together and we got the club team started.
Yeah.
And
That's when it started.
And it expanded from one high school team, boys team that you had, into a U12 boys team, into having all the age groups, boys and girls, and that is you. You are the one that has driven that program right on through, and these kids are getting good coaching, and the parents are all on the same page. It's
Yeah,
not
that is a
different.
big one. Yeah.
It's everybody coaches the core skills, everybody coaches the possession game, and when you see the kids come out, you see it like a young man like Drake today coming out. He knows the game. He's been coached.
That's the product of the town teams.
But those things, and all the players are interchangeable. You see that Drake was a defender. You had him up front playing on the right fullback, or halfback and left halfback, and he went back to sweeper. You have the players can do that. Nolan Ryan in the first championship game that you had, you shoved him back when Corey Lewis got his leg broke. You put him back in the center half position. Just versatile.
Yeah.
Granted, he is a special player,
Yeah.
but you have a lot of players that can do that.
Yeah, one of the things I think that's really helped us over the years is the club soccer has really helped. I mean, kids now we're having kids play together from April to all through the spring and for most of the summer, and then they're right back at it in the fall. But the other thing too that has helped is that so many of these guys who have played for me and now have coached for me.
How many coaches have gone to soccer coach? Coach soccer.
Like Jacob Spiegel, who is, is an amazing coach. He's someone that is going to be a great coach somewhere, wherever he goes. And and of course Galen Trombley and Damien Nevada and Tim Mulligan, who's out here somewhere, and
Jason Fenner
and Matt Devins, all these guys who played for me, and then went on to be my JV coaches and coach my club teams, and that helps, you know what I mean? And so I've got all these guys giving back to these former players, giving back to the program, and it just that really does help, when you get that continuity, and we're on that same mindset throughout the whole program, from young kids to the very young to the very old, and
right.
The one of the things that I found that we probably do it a different way, but to me, learning all positions that Joe had brought up, that a player should be able to play everywhere. Yeah, they're better at perhaps defense or offense, but playing indoor soccer, where we had you're in touch with the ball much more frequently. Only 4 guys on the team, maybe, or 3 sometimes. Therefore, you always play. You play a forward, you play defense, whatever, and so you extend it to the club team. Sometimes you don't have as many people on the team, so yeah, that would be, I think, the biggest thing I learned way back in I think it was the 70s or late 70s. The Dutch, they called it total soccer.
Yeah.
You have to be everywhere. You should be able to play everywhere. While we're talking here about everything, somebody we forget about putting in all those years and spanning some 20 some odd years is that man on the camera.
Calvin Castine.
Yes,
Well, think
he's
about
seen all of this go down and recorded it, and it's there on record somewhere on the airwaves.
Well, I said this earlier, Coach. I mean, here's Calvin on a Saturday.
Yeah.
He's here for the girls' alumni game. He's here for the Ogdensburg game, and he's here for the men's alumni game.
Yeah.
He got here at the game started about 12:30. He'll get out of here about 7 tonight, 6:37. So, and we were talking about this. We call it begging for money when we try to get people donate.
Yeah.
But here's a guy that has spent his whole Saturday here to create these hometown memories. And I'll go on record right now, this is a hometown classic right here tonight with you two up in the booth with us. This is just absolutely phenomenal, and I want to get a copy myself because I think it's great we can get you two guys together. And when you folks listen to this out here, please give. I mean, if you're a business, advertise. I advertise my business with Hometown Cable. I've been doing it, I don't know, Calvin, 20 years? I don't know. With Northern Blacktopping and Kavanaugh Realty. And if you're watching this game, you pay your cable bill, you may pay for PBS. This here is hometown treasures right here, and I think this is cool now, and in 5 years it becomes that much more valuable. And I know from the players that are out there, they go, man, it's so cool to see those tapes from yesteryear. And please send the check show to where?
Getting back to that, when I was just out in the field here, all I could hear was Coach saying halfback, because that's all. I played halfback, and all coach, the halfbacks. Of course, you're always on the halfback. Halfbacks up, halfbacks back. Could you do that one more time for me, Coach?
Halfbacks. There's a hometown memory going live.
It was true because I used to say some other things. You can't put on camera.
But Joe, where do you send the money?
Well, you can send it to 1477 Ridge Road, Champlain, New York. Finish it up, Joey.
12919, or go to Plattsburgh.com, pay with PenPal, or HometownCableNetwork.com. You can pay with PenPal. Or PayPal. Let's say PenPal. Yeah, you become a friend of Calvin Castine, become his pen pal. And the thing is, any donation will work. He costs Calvin to do this, and hopefully having a couple legends up here in the booth with us will compel you to want to send a donation. And I know Calvin will appreciate it. We've said this before. Joe and I do this for the love of the game. We don't get paid for this. We think it's cool giving back to the community. I know the kids enjoy watching these games, and I think you as a coach enjoy dissecting the game.
Yeah, there's only one bad thing I found out is that now the other teams, the Hamiltons and all those, every time we get down to the Final Four, and every one of the coaches said, I saw your game against D-Town or saw your game, and I'm scouring the state for anyone with a tape of the teams we're playing, and
they know how to get these
games. They do. And so but no, it's great.
Well, and the comment was made, I think, by Coach Karen Trombley. She came up the other day, and she said, we're the only area around that does this consistently, and it's because of this man, Calvin Castine. And I like the JV team, Coach Corey Thompson was just ecstatic last night that we did the game with commentary. He's never had that before, and of course he beats Northeastern Clinton for the first time. And he's going to get that for all the girls, and he is just ecstatic to have this filmed, captured.
Special for the kids. Yeah.
I find that I can't turn off hometown cable when I hear Bob Venn's voice. No knock to Gary Gordy Little, but Bob Venn could do an interview about the room we're in right now and talk.
And make it interesting.
And talk for an hour about how interesting, And
if you were here right now, this here would be interesting.
Very good.
Oh my God!
You're right. It's like things. The event lives on, and it's a perfect example to watch Bob. It's like he's still here.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's like he's among us. You just don't.
Last 10 minutes, I'll come back.
They're calling for Coach McCullough to go out there and play for the final 10 minutes. We have 21:45 to go.
Oh, wait, 3 minutes.
But and we hear you enjoy the commentary sometimes.
Here? Oh yeah, sure, yeah. But I don't. If we lose, I don't. It takes me a week or so to watch it, because I get so annoyed with it.
So other than the stupidity that we talk about, taking that apart.
No, you guys.
You think we dissect the game pretty well?
Yeah, you do a very good job. You know what I mean?
Are we too hard on the kids at times?
No. It's not as hard as I am. So.
I know that. Well, getting back to the memories, thanks to a videotape that George gave me recently, loaned me, I should say, recently. We put on in 1984, I think it was, practice with Coach Brendler hollering at Rob McCullough and his other guys in the gymnasium.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was, it might have been even later than that, because it might have been 86, 87. Yeah, I'm thinking 87. If I had to guess, I was thinking 87.
You were taping in the gym?
It was one of my practices inside, and the thing I liked about that I wanted to preserve was we used to play this 4-on-4 rotate. If you lost, you stayed on, and the guy would jump off the bleachers and run in, and it just would keep going. It was indoor soccer at the end was the fun part of practice. But also, if you look at that tape closely, as Joe Coulomb, as I said, is out there, the string bean, in the practice, and some of the other guys that, it preserves the memory of what I remember, the Chris Kuhlman or the guys from that time. And Rob was a little kid. Most of the time I had him, he was a little kid. We worried about him getting hurt.
Came up in 8th grade. And
protected him.
You came up in 8th grade?
yeah, and I always tell my players that my first time I went out in the game, we played Willsboro at home, and it was a big game, and Willsboro had a good team, and Coach put myself, PJ Gondek, who's now the head coach at Fredonia
He
State.
came up as an 8th grader, didn't he?
He was in 9th grade.
Okay.
I was there 1 year ahead, and then myself, PJ, and Chris Kuhlman all at once. And so I was scared out of my mind, and the ball came to me, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I was about 25 yards out, and I shot it, scored. The first time, so this gets better. So the first time I ever touched the ball in a varsity game, I scored. And so after I came off the field, I remember thinking to myself, this is pretty easy. And guess how many goals I scored that year? 1. Yeah.
That's great.
8th grade? Wow.
Yeah.
See, and not many make it up at the 8th grade level.
Well, I think back then it may have happened a little more often, but now with our, with us with the JV team, it's quite unlikely. I think the last person to do it was Nolan Ryan, and now with the JV team, it's not necessary.
And prior to that, I think it was Matt Devins, wasn't it?
Justin Seymour also did it,
Justin came up
and
with
so
it?
and then Matt Devins, did it.
Okay.
I had Tim Mulligan and Tim Martin.
Yeah.
Tim Mulligan came up as an
As an 8th grader.
As an 8th grader, yeah.
I think Mulligan's here, isn't he, today?
And Mulligan's playing, yeah.
I was going to say something.
PHS.
Yeah.
He's another coach, yes.
Talking about size here, Rob being small, we were cursed with this because many times in high school, you take a sophomore or a junior, and he has not reached his maturity yet, and then later on they become big. A good example of it is Zane Adams over here. He looked in on us a little while ago.
Yeah.
Zane is a big guy.
Yeah.
But when I had him, he was a string bean. He could get knocked over by the wind. And he'd admit it himself, Those best years when he had soccer with us, he didn't have the size.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was best blessed with, and I don't know if you have the same thing, but where you had 3-4 seniors that were 18 years old already. What a difference that made.
Oh, the mud. They're going to score. They score. And the even team gets on the board as they're trailing 6-1 with 17:35 to go.
That's the odd team.
No, that's the even.
That's the even team. Even team's in gray.
Really, I was playing for the wrong team.
Were you?
Sure.
Joe is still confused after all these
I
years.
come over with the gray-haired guys, and I was with Pat and Tim Ryan. I said, okay, I'll hang out with you guys.
That was deliberate on the other side.
They wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah, no doubt. Here, take this guy. Funny. Glad everybody cares.
Joe, you always amaze us up here.
Sure.
Well, Rob, you're about 6 minutes away from hitting the.
I guess
field
so.
out there.
I thought I could.
Are you an even or an odd?
I'm an even.
Okay.
They could probably use you.
Yeah, well, I thought I was going to get away without playing, but doesn't look like it.
So you think the old competitive juices are going to come out when you get out there?
I doubt that. To tell you the truth, I doubt it.
Don't pull a groin muscle.
Yeah,
I know.
You want to make your practice there on Monday.
I know we have. We've had some injuries here. No, I guess not. I thought he was going to come, but.
Who's that? Oh, shit, you
yeah,
right.
yeah. But we've had some injuries here before, so we got to.
On the Alumni game.
Yes.
But you know what? Actually,
Randy Tatro tore his ACL after the first minute.
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm amazed with is the wind hasn't been bad out there for these players. I mean, they're running. It's a flow of the game going on.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has to
Corey's
leave.
leaving.
Okay, that's all right. Well, there goes our EMT, so maybe I better not play.
You gotta play light. Tell the guys,
Don't you know that the injuries happened the last 15 minutes of the game? Thompson just left us here, Corey Thompson. Oh, And the save,
Going back to the last game with it, the ball died on the line. I recall, I know it doesn't, it didn't happen in Chazy, but one of my first seasons in Vermont, we played a team of Grassbury, Vermont, and we hadn't won a game all year, and they came up, and it rained like heck, but not knowing any better, we played, and the field was full of puddles, and the guys, all they knew was to kick the ball, and everybody cheered. The harder you kicked the ball, the better you were.
that brings back memories.
And they'd kick that ball in that particular game, and they would go and hit the puddle and stop. It was just one hilarious game. I never forgot. You expect the ball to go somewhere, it just dies right there.
Yeah.
This hit it. This was the classic though, right there. It died on the line.
I know.
So do you think Pelton had a goal with that crossbar?
I did, tell you the truth, but, I understand where Sam Laggio is coming from, that if he doesn't really know for sure it's in, he's not going to call it in, and I understood that,
Right.
so. Hey. Oh. Okay. Okay.
I get that look this
Oh, I know, my wife coming up here, I know.
Rob's wife just came up. It was a good thing. It was good. but we just listened and let them have their moment together.
I was supposed to return the car back to her after, but I forgot.
Oops. And she understands this time of year that
That's
things
right.
happen, right?
Yeah. What's happening here?
Now, like, haven't you had
we have a penalty kick here?
oh wow, haven't you had like two babies during the same when you were in the state championship?
Yeah.
At the same time.
In 05, my wife was 11 days overdue with our daughter Ava on at the state championship game in Oneonta, and she rode down with me to the game. And let's see how Joel Lauren does here.
Yeah,
first.
we'll see. Oh, and it's 6-2.
Yeah, in 05, yeah, Kristen was pregnant with Ava, I guess at 11 days overdue, and on the state championship game. And we won the state championship in 05, came home, went to school Monday, and had the celebration at school, and then that night...
Became a dad.
Yeah, became
Life
a dad.
changed forever, Rob.
Yeah, that's right.
And then how about
And
with
then
Jack?
Jack's 3 years ago yesterday, Jack was born. So Jack's birthday was yesterday, and so so
Nice.
The high time of the season.
yep. And actually, I missed the Ogdensburg game that year, and because Jack was born, and so.
Now, your record with Ogdensburg, we were trying to figure it out. You haven't lost them like in the last 4 or 5 years.
We lost in 04, and we've won ever since.
It was 04, but yeah, so we were right. Yeah.
Yep, that I remember that game because we were missing Nolan Ryan and Corey Lewis that day with injuries, and they could have played, but we had E-Town like 2 days later, and we said it wasn't worth it to risk in a non-league game, and so.
Right.
Not saying we would have won with them, we may have, but.
But they have not beaten you since.
No.
Some good games.
Yeah, 2 years ago we beat them in the last few seconds of the game, and then last year we did the same thing.
We were down, what, 2-0?
We were down 2-0, came back to win 3-2, and we scored in the last like 40 seconds in Augsburg.
Looking out here, I can't pass up the opportunity to compliment the officials. John Sachs goes back to one of my early teams. There was 80 that we started to do some special things on defense, thanks to Jeff Trombley. Jeff Trombley came back from Plattsburgh State to help me, and he took the defense and practiced with him, and we picked up some special little skills.
Season of
78. Well, he started working with John, and John, a small guy, but by defense began to develop some special skills. And one of them I remember was like with the ball going back to just head it back to the goalkeeper. Never mind letting it land, stuff like that. And with him, by the way, is just Sam Lashway, who used to play against us. And I remember
NAC.
in Payant, this is the 80 team. Say, that guy, he's crazy. There used to be some real hot blood with these guys.
Oh yeah.
But also, I have to mention that way back when we had
Who was that, Casey?
Casey Trombley and Kyle Fountain.
way back when we had those early tournaments, I had now Bob Venn, you mentioned him. in another context, but Bob Venn was one of my early faithful officials.
That's right, yeah.
I would use Bob Venn at all the playoffs. You know, we had a choice, and he was very, very fair and a good man. Followed up by Elton Guerin.
Yes.
Elton Guerin was, he gave us time for this tournament. You know, they'd come over and those guys would, like these people, offered they played, you know, officiated 2-3 games. And Elton just
He just
left
passed.
us. Yeah.
He just passed.
I was sorry to hear that because he was very,
Always a good
very
man.
good. I know he took the kids, he talked to the kid, calmed them down a little bit. And the same with Bob, he was very good about that. It was a little more. In other words, they treated the game beyond just calling and then blowing the whistle. You know, they'd settle the kids down.
Give him a chance.
Did
Yeah.
Bob go to Chazy?
Actually, no, he lived on the Stetson
That's
Road.
what I mean. I didn't know. Did he?
He didn't go to Chazy.
Bender?
No,
Yeah, he
no.
lived on a Stetson.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
He never
Jerry
lived in
Nevada's old
Chazy.
house.
I didn't realize that.
Evans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He wanted to play sports, so he went to Champlain.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have
Yeah,
sports.
yeah.
We didn't have
Sports here at
sports,
Chazy.
They didn't have sports in Chazy.
No, we didn't have sports
For years and
till
years and years.
53.
Really?
It's true.
There was no sport. That was one of the things
Just
about Mr.
academics, that was
Miners.
it.
Yeah,
Wow.
Mr. Miners' program was all academics.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. There were teams, but they all played church, like church. The
Right.
church hall with a basketball court, and guys would play. There were people playing basketball. I remember the Dupreys behind us here. Mr. Dupree played basketball in the early, I'd say 1920s or even before that. There was some, you know, but it wasn't school. Yeah.
Wow, I never realized that.
Rob, it's getting around your time, you know.
No, Rob doesn't want to go out there. I can tell that. There's 9:37 to go.
How old are you, Rob?
I'll be 40,
29.
40 soon.
We have 40?
Yeah.
I'm 50. I was out there for 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was 77 and I considered just stepping out and running around, but can't afford to get hurt.
Hey, you know what? You know how many people have said to me, "Well, this is building up. So are you going to play?" They don't realize.
Yeah,
I didn't go to
that's
school
right.
here.
I know.
I'm a
I know.
Northeastern alumni.
I
You
know.
can sneak in.
No, I'm not. I would not tarnish the Chazy image.
I don't know about Northeastern now. Saranac tied Northeastern the other day.
I know that.
And they tied Plattsburgh the other day, so what's up?
Well, we beat them 4-0, and their coach
a
said
great pass.
Northeastern's the best team they played all year.
Yeah.
I'm going, that's an insult to you.
Wow, that's all right.
Wow.
Northeastern probably is, even though they died. You know,
Yeah.
Northeastern.
Well, I mean, I just
Good team.
I say that in jest.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But Northeastern outshot them 17-3, and it sounded like he went to a Dannemora defense type mode.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Remember that one, Coach?
Phrase is still used.
Oh, it is.
Yes, we
He uses it all the time up here.
Yeah, we still use the Dannemora defense line, and kids always say to me, "Why do you say Dannemora? I mean, they don't have a school or a team." And I said, "Because they don't even know that they once did have a."
Right. Yeah.
You know.
By the way, it's nice to see these guys. You know, they're playing and nobody's faking.
It's all fun.
But I mean, faking injuries and so on. Because I saw something the other day on. It was on TV yesterday. I don't know where this occurred. Spain, someplace.
Probably. Spain.
The guy stepped on his foot?
Yes, yeah. You know, the man is standing there and they're chewing him out, and the guy moves his foot. And then, like, 30 seconds passes, and all of a sudden this guy falls down.
And he gets called.
Thank God that we don't have that kind of, you know, that has not permeated our soccer. Whether the kids play and they
Oh, nice shot.
nice stop, too.
Adams.
Zane with that?
Zane.
That was
Wow.
a great save by Carlonza, too.
Carlin's got his jumpsuit on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done well.
Yeah. Like I say, this has been some really fun soccer.
You know, the thing is, the last time we had this, it was all fun, and you know, everyone was joking around, having a good time. And next thing you know, everyone looked at the clock, and it was 1-1 with like 20 minutes left. Well, the last 20 minutes
That's true.
was was one of those ones where I was like, God,
Boys.
yeah, let's But
Well, they have that little bit of blood in them left.
And I'm thinking these guys out here will want to change, and I think they're looking forward to the festivities after the game.
yes,
The warmth.
yes,
Maybe hot.
Yeah.
I assume that there's going to be, is there like food served and all that kind of
yes.
stuff?
We'll be at the. We really thank the VFW for taking us on such a short notice. So we'll be at the VFW tonight in Champlain. The I always get it wrong. Two bridges? Wait, is it?
Twin bridges.
Twin bridges.
Twin
Jeez,
bridges.
I always get
There
that
are two
wrong.
bridges.
That's right. So the Twin Bridges in Champlain. But so
That's going to be.
enough to go home and clean up.
That's going to be right after this.
yeah, right after this. Yeah. So
Look
hopefully
forward.
some of them will shower.
Yeah, someone go clean up.
Some are going to have some Bengay baths.
And actually, the rain stopped, guys.
Yeah.
It seems like so.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad. And while we've been kibitzing, so everybody knows what's been going on here, the odd lead the even 6-2. There's 6 minutes left in the game, and I don't think they're really keeping the shots on net here too much. They got 5 shots to 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's doing the scoreboard down there, but I think they gave up on that.
Nobody cares.
Nobody really cares. The only thing is the build-up for this. These guys, all these alumni, were really looking forward to this day.
I also think that it's a good thing that, you don't do it every year, that
Yeah.
you do it, every 5 years or so. That's a good time. I think if you did it every year, then it becomes too
Takes away
much.
from the
Yeah,
novelty.
yeah, exactly. It takes away from the novelty. And if it would have been a nice day, I think that stands would have been a lot of people here.
Yeah. Coach, your first year was 63, correct?
65.
65.
65.
Because some people were saying what we should do is, we got a goal there, but it might have been a bad one, but
It's on film.
you started in 65, and then so if we go from 65, and maybe we can do a 50-year,
In 15.
in 2015 of you, I, and Tom Tregan, 50 years of coaching.
That'd be
three of
great.
us.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
So we thought about doing that maybe.
Yep. Tom, I talked with him, and
Yes.
he kind of feels in between, and he doesn't want to take away from us in a way. And I feel
That's great years.
he had good
He did a good
years.
job,
I
yeah.
feel that
He was part of it.
I'm sorry that he had. He wants to have us have the chance
That's
to
how
talk.
Tom
with-
is. He's just a great.
Tom's like the
great
three
person.
tenors. He's the other guy. Okay, he's like the three tenors. But he's an important part, though.
Yeah, he was a great man. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to have George as a coach, and then Tom for my senior year. And Tom is a great man. I can't say enough about him. And now we're just blessed to have him as a principal here at school. And I think the combination of Coach and Tom Tregan is the reason why I got into teaching and coaching, and I can't say enough about Tom Tregan too. What a good person he is, and what a great job he
The program
did.
didn't go down when he took
No,
over. He kept
no.
it going.
Yeah, well, that's what when he took over.
Well, how many years did he have it?
7.
For 7, okay.
When he took over, and Rob was his junior, and we were, I was working hard on developing some second stringers, like your brother, Shay was a goalkeeper. We went up to Northwood as a junior, a JV type team, and I had a few others like Williamson out there, a few, that we didn't have top caliber people coming up.
Yeah.
And so I told Mr. O'Connor, I said, I feel bad because I think he's going to have a rough year.
Yeah.
And it turned out that you guys did very well.
Yeah.
You played Lisbon, I think,
We
in
won the
the
league, we won the section, went on to the state playoffs and lost to Lisbon. But, we had Tom got a lot out of the players he had and developed a lot of players. And listen, I'd like to take credit for the fact that, in 95, it was Tom's last year. In 97, we went to the Final Four. I'd love to take full credit for that. But, hey, those were Tom Tregan's kids that, that I was given. And,
well, whatever. It also, the atmosphere didn't change. In other words, the soccer attitude, the atmosphere was there. He perpetuated it. Because there's more to it than just what you do on the soccer field.
Oh, yes.
Let's face it. There's more to it. It's the kids seem to continue. So
people always say to me, you must have learned so much from George and Tom with soccer and things like that. And as most everyone who played for George Brendler and played for Tom Tregan know that it's not the soccer stuff that you learned. It seems like it at the time, but we all became better men. Boys and later became better men because of Tom Tregan and George, and George Brendler, and that stuff is just invaluable. And
if you say it's more than goals for and goals against.
Coach Brendler, if I wanted to
it's
help
for
out
those
with
men.
the library fund that you
So
got going,
16
go
years
there,
coaching,
check
Rob.
out.
How many years have you been to the Final Four with these teams?
I'd have to, 15 years to this point, so I think 11 of the 15 years.
I've been to a Final Four.
I believe, yeah.
And how many have you been to the state championship game?
7.
So 7 of 11 years that you made to the Final Four, you made to the state championship game.
Yeah.
Not a bad stat.
Yeah, we've done. We've done well, obviously, but.
And then you'll be the first to say it. It's not all about coaching. The players are the ones that got to play the game.
As if you've ever watched that 05 team, when you tell Corey Lewis and Jacob Spiegel and Jordan Spiegel and Nolan Ryan and Casey Trombley and all those players to go out in the field and play, it's pretty easy to win some games.
By far, I think, was probably the most complete game to ever come out of this area, or complete team to ever come out of this area.
Yeah.
They were just, what was that? You get, 3 goals that year?
Yeah, I think it was 161 goals for and 3 against. Yeah.
I mean, that team, and we saw them play a lot of games, but I could see them beating C and B teams.
Yeah,
that year. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, at the state level.
Yeah,
that team was just.
That was the year that we beat Ogdensburg, who was state ranked in Class B, like highly state ranked.
We beat them 6-0 here.
Yeah, we beat them 6-0 that year. Yeah, so that was a great team, And
so what happened there, Joe?
I'm laughing because I'm not out there.
A lot of nothing.
See Joe Cool? That could be Rob McCullough.
And you're wondering why I'm not going out there.
So you'd be almost ready to go right there.
Terry Lapierre looks like he's been working on an oil rig or something.
Well, the alumni game has just come to an end, and the final score was 7-2 odd beating the even team. But I'll tell you, it's been good soccer, and folks, this has been a classic hometown cable production with legendary Coach George Brendler. The field's been named after him. We got future Hall of Famer Coach Rob McCullough, with 5 state championships started by this man here. We got legendary Calvin Castine on the camera, and got a couple hacks like me and Joe here. But the bottom line is, this has been a great day, and this is definitely going to be a keeper. It's a classic, and if you want to get a copy of it, let Calvin know. He'll definitely get you a copy. And it is the October 1st, 2011. It's the 3rd alumni game here at the George Brendler Field. And Coach, I know you like that when I call it the George Brendler Field all the time.
Appreciate that.
I always throw that out there. And as Calvin likes to say, that's the way it was in beautiful downtown Chazy.
Excellent.
Guys, you did an awesome job.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Thanks, Scott. It's a lot of work.
Thanks, Coach. Awesome. Hey, George, can you try my...
Call me Mike.
My grandmother always had a shape like
I like you, Rob.